living in Alvarado at the time. My old church that I was attending was closing its doors, and I got in touch with Journey through my wife's family, and got in touch with Jeff Bradburn. I started bringing chairs down on Sundays, and then the last load I got down here early and caught the tail end of a service, and the moment I walked in the doors I knew this was where I was supposed to be at. And so I went back, told my wife about it, and we did some praying, and then we decided it was time to move back to Waco. God put it on my heart that I was supposed to be here. And right before we moved, I was telling coworkers bye and see you later, and one of my coworkers told me, I told him that God had called me to this church down in Waco, and that's where I was supposed to be at. And he said the ever-stinging words that told me that, he said, I would have never even thought that you went to church. And those words have stuck with me to this day, because they remind me that I wasn't being Jesus. People didn't see Jesus in me out there in the world. And it's been a ever ongoing process, and through mentorship I've gotten a lot closer to being that guy. The first time I brought my wife and family to church here, we were sitting back there at the back of the church. Todd came up to me and said that, hey, y'all must be new, you don't have name tags on. And so that was my first introduction to Todd Lovett that I remember. Fast forward to October, Fall Festival 2012, and a bunch of us were standing around out after the Fall Festival was over, cleaning up, and Todd mentioned he was going home to smoke a cigar. I was like, oh really? I smoke cigars too. And so we had something in common. And then, mind you, I wasn't looking for a mentor. I was just looking for a friend at the time, and we had something in common. Shortly thereafter, my daughter got sick and had a seizure and was in the hospital. And I was at church, by myself. My wife was with our daughter, and Todd came to me and invited me to come to men's community, and Todd was being Jesus to me at that moment, because I needed it. And I went to men's community with him, and that pretty much began. Shortly thereafter, we would hang out at his in his hangar, smoking cigars and studying the Bible and stuff. And that was in October. Come February, sitting in church one Sunday morning, I felt God's calling to be baptized. And I did that. Todd did that for me the next weekend. I spent some time with Landon talking about it, and Todd baptized me the next Sunday. We spent a lot of time hanging out in that hangar of his, smoking a lot of cigars, and getting to know each other, and learning the Bible. It was really good. Then Todd, said, hey, I'm willing to walk with you 3 years if you're willing to do the work. And and so it began there. Pride, I think, has probably been both of our biggest issues with each other, because our pride has caused hurt feelings on both sides of our relationship. And that's the biggest one that comes to my mind is pride. It's ugly. Our love for Christ and His love for us has got us through all of our challenges and adversity. It's God's rule. Love God. Love your neighbor as you loved yourself. That's how we've learned, or that's how you get through any challenges in a relationship, is with that. And that's how we've learned to do it. By putting God first. Seven years ago, we started off as friends, and a little bit later, then you became my mentor. and that lasted for a while. Well, it still is, you know, still my mentor. I still think of Todd as my mentor, and we became partners. Now we're partners. We have been for several years now in men's ministry, and we've become partners in that. And now, you know, I've got Landon mentoring me as well now, and so that leads us to God's third rule: make disciples. Go and make disciples, and that's what we're doing. Something that's since I've been working with Landon's been on my heart, and that's 1 John 1:6, which says, "So we are lying if we say we have fellowship with God, but go on living in spiritual darkness. We are not practicing the truth."
That's a wrap.